Hello, everyone. We hope you are well playing on and making the games that you all love. You're joining me, your host, Max Bears, lightning fast with his introduction, but not just me, my amazing co-host for the Q&A episodes, Daniel Howard. Sir, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm in yellow, decked out, with it just being while we're recording this, people, the day before Cyberpunk releases. So yeah, we thought that we'd do this as a nice special one to kind of talk about what it feels like to release projects into the world and the feeling of the developers behind it. I won't give any spoilers or anything away for that, so please don't expect anything like that. And one, I don't want to get fired, and two, I don't want to get fired.
That's a pretty good reason. Both of those are good reasons.
But not just that. This is probably the last Q&A of 2020, Dan, which is another reason to celebrate.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds like it would be a shame if it weren't 2020.
Yeah, I know. But we did it. We survived 2020. And the first half of 2021 will not be any different, as much as we'd like to think. But no, so, this has been a very creative, I think, year for the podcast. I mean, Dan, it was really this year you came on kind of full time, right?
It was, yeah. So I think, we've really hit our stride, started back, what was it, sort of March, April time.
Yeah,
We really started to kind of ramp up the collaboration. And then I think even just in those 9 months, we've gone through a fair few iterations. We made a lot of changes, but I think we're very much hitting our stride now. We've got a pretty strong thing going.
I couldn't agree more. I think that's been one of the best things is seeing how much we've improved. And I want to give a shout out to the other editors who helped make this obviously great as well. We've got Alexander Walker, who is one of our audio editors. Thank you so much to you, mate, and everything you do. We've also got Levin too, who's nothing but been the Russian stud to help us with what we've got with the audio side as well. Those two really make sure that we've got the audio quality correct. Levin really helped me with the new setup of the mic. So then this goes over to Dan, as well as I want to give a huge shout out to that of, man, why am I going to so mispronounce his name? He knows I absolutely adore him as well. We've got Azvanda Jameki Iravan. I've definitely butchered that name. But again, he has been nothing but a great help putting together the graphic designs, the new intros for us to use to make this look better as well. He's been a great addition. So to all of you, just thank you all very much. Honestly, without yourself, Dan, and all these lovely people, the podcast has only gotten better because of that.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, those guys' work is invaluable. It makes my task much, much easier.
Yeah.
I think it's a real collaborative effort now. It's really great to be part of a very strong team that've got a well-oiled work ethic.
Yeah, man, it's been a great one. We also did the book together, Dan. That was launched. When was that? Was that August or July?
Oh, I think we were working on it June, July, and
did it come out partway through August?
It was released in August. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so we've got that. We've started work on the second one. If you haven't realized already, that's what me and Dan are going to be talking about at the end of this episode. Dan's going to give me the business about why I'm so bad at writing, and make it better.
Well, it's all work today, my friend. It's a busy day.
They said I was taking a holiday, right? So this is just Coke, everyone, to help me stress through the beautiful resting days. No, it's, but that was a great achievement for us. We've sold over 200 copies now, Dan, which is insane. So everyone who purchased the book, thank you again, because that's, helped me and Dan to go make our second book, which we'll be working on. We're aiming for February, March time, right, Dan? That's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
So we're hoping to get the written draft finished roughly the end of this month, if not early January. And January is when we're going to bring on our artist to give the look of the book and everything. So yeah, just thank you thank you to the Patreons who obviously listened to all of what we've done and supported us, to the listeners as well, subscribers. Just thank you again, because without all of you, we'd just be talking to thin air, and you've all supported the show grow and make it better. So thank you to all of you.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been a very, very interesting year. time has stood still for most of it, but it's given us a lot of opportunities to sort of learn and grow and go on this venture together. So it's been fantastic.
And I think me and Dan always talk about this, is like, we don't want to sound anything like insensitive, because sadly people have lost a lot this year, you know what I mean, whether that be their loved ones, jobs, and we, myself and Dan have obviously suffered through some of this as well. Again, it's not a comparison. I think we just want to focus when we celebrate these things to try find the good in it, right? And that's all we can do. And so we hope this brightens up your day, whenever you're listening to this. We really hope that it just makes you feel better for just a little bit, because that's, kind of what we want to do, is just make you forget about a few things. So again, thank all of you, really. Oh, if you want to leave, we'll do a little challenge this time, Dan. If you leave in the comment or want to email into us at leveldesignlobby@gmail.com, then, tell us what your favorite episode was, maybe what you enjoyed about the book, anything like that. Please just leave it down below. We love to see this stuff. We love to, hear what you loved, so we can, tweak things for next year and make it all better. So yeah, just let us know. Let us know. All right, the rambling's done now, Dan. Check. Mic check. So we're going to be talking about, I guess, more of the topic. I want to say, with the fact Cyberpunk is launching tomorrow when we're recording this, is kind of talk about, I guess, releasing titles, as you know, Dan, releasing different things, that feeling behind it. So sadly, we didn't get any questions from you, and that's on me, just because I wanted to focus on this topic, so we can kind of talk about it and really show a different side of this, just because there's obviously a lot of marketing, which is great and going in, and we just want to talk about it from like a human side too. So yeah, that's the one. But the first one, first question, Dan, do you want to let us know what that is?
Okay, so the first one we've got is, do you have any tips or tricks on how to make your portfolio stand out?
So we've been getting these questions a lot recently, and I've actually been talking to other designers about portfolios and their opinions. Now, we do run a mentorship program where we talk to you on a one-on-one level about portfolios and other kind of level design tasks. And this one, we recently dropped an episode all about best ways to help to improve your episode, I think like 2 weeks ago. So check that out. But I just want to state that I think one of the best ways to do it, as you know as well, like when you're doing a discipline, you have to show it through a portfolio. Like a portfolio is a different kind of design, right, Dan? Like it's like a graphic design or something, and it's very different from what your craft might be. But I think it's about trying to get your personality across through that portfolio. The amount of like times that I've seen a white background and black text, or just a gray background, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with those things. These are just my personal opinions, but I think me and you can both agree, Dan, is like that doesn't say much about you. So if you can get something that says that through the choice of your color, like look at color theories, what is your favorite color? Look at, say, your, how do I say this? Your logo or name. How can you make that? You don't necessarily need a logo, but if you can have something, again, just establishes you a bit more. I think making sure that you have the best processes of your design philosophies up there. It's better to have more than less, right? Because sadly, with portfolios, no one's going to be sticking to read the whole thing as much as we would like, Dan. Like we both love it to be, but you want to make sure that they understand a bit more about who you are and how you design. It's not always about having the best work, good work still, make sure the work quality is still good. But if they can understand you, why you made these choices, then they can help to nurture and grow there. So I think having, more information about your overall design process is key. Keep your words limited, keep it very bullet point, have images and videos that best show, GIFs as well. All of these that help, really show the development. Like if you have GIFs of how your level first started, second iteration, third iteration, all of those, then again, it helps to see what you've gone on and improved upon. I think having a video walkthrough is good, because just hearing a voice can sometimes, again makes you more relatable. Now everyone hates hearing their own voice, trust me. Dan's sick of my voice, so like we understand that. But again, it's those elements that are there for them to always go through, check, and what have you there. So by all means, I think that's the way to do it, in my opinion, everyone. So yeah, I think that's the first one. You got anything to add with that, Dan?
To be honest, not really. No, I think you hit the nail on the head. Very strong, especially the part about color theory. I think the use of color is often overlooked. And ultimately, that's what a portfolio is here to do. It's here to sell yourself. And if you can get as much of your character and personality into that portfolio, because ultimately you're not just selling your work, you are selling yourself as a collaborator, as a creative. So yeah, color theory is very important.
Yeah, I think it's also like, sadly now, whether we want to or not, it's about you're building a brand of yourself online, whether you're on Twitter, LinkedIn, all of that is all a brand now associated to you. So make sure it all ties in together. Like, I remember it's only now, like, my portfolio is not the best, let me state that for the record. It's very good, but not the best. No, like, honestly, there is still things to improve, but you can see I still have the checkered blue background that I do relating to the podcast. So you can see they're all related. The images me and Dan use for the podcast of the block out versions of ourselves is my logo for my portfolio. And on all of that ties in together, and then it's the same color for my banner on Twitter. All of that ties in, and make sure that matches the colors you put on your website, match it on your CV too. Because again, it all relates. So yeah, that's what I think we're bang on with it.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we hope you like that. If you do want to know more, like we said, we did a previous episode already 2 weeks ago. So just go check. I think it's called like what makes good level design portfolio. So do check that out if you guys and girls want more on that.
All right, very good. The next question we've got, this is related to Cyberpunk. So how do you feel with the release of Cyberpunk coming up?
Yeah, so this one's always strange. Dan, yourself, mate, is like when you're working on something for so long and then finally like the release or the finish, shall we say, of it, it's a weird feeling. Like, it's joy, it's nerves, it's also a bit of emptiness, because that's what you've been investing yourself into for so long that you're kind of like, oh, it's done now. Like, what do I do, in some sense? I think the nerves is you hope people like what you've done. There is obviously a sense of relief too, because when you sink in, so for me, it was just under 4 years that I've been working on Cyberpunk. So like, that's, a lot of my time and life put into a project. And so there's a sense of kind of, I don't want to say necessarily like the relief of like, oh, finally it's done. But the sense of you've invested so much, your team has invested so much, that when it's out there, it's again that relief of like, finally it's there for people to see. And we hope you all love it. Honestly, I can't speak for everyone, but I'm sure everyone at CD Projekt Red does hope that you love it and enjoy it. And yeah, it's a strange feeling, but it is a one to be able to just hope that everyone enjoys it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's always that sort of trepidation on the release of a project, and relief. Do you feel any different towards this one than you did, for example, on previous games you worked on, like The Division or something like that?
I do. I think it's a different one. And like, look, Division was great, and what I say here doesn't knock it, doesn't take away anything from anyone. Like, we all worked super hard on Division. But when I finished Division, I must have been there for about, so it was 2 years. So like, it was a year less, shall we say.
So you've got that extra investment here.
Exactly that. And I think the other thing was, I've never worked on a game this hyped. Like, Division had hype going for it. I always remember that. And I think because I was fortunate enough to go to, say, like E3 and Tokyo Game Show, like, I was actually able to really see people's hype and love for this IP that I wasn't able to see on Division. I wasn't representing Ubisoft at that time in that same capacity. So to see that was incredible. I think also the hype behind this game is also maybe something I'll never experience again. especially because it's a new IP. So it's not like a sequel. Like Last of Us 2, for example, as it deserves, got all this hype and love for it because the first one was so great. And so everyone's expecting the same level of quality, which they delivered on. So yeah, to have a new IP that has been this, this well loved, when you have Keanu Reeves come on this project, I had the pleasure to meet him for like 2 seconds, but like I saw that glorious hair, which is why I'm trying to grow it out so me and Keanu can be brothers. But it's, yeah, it is a different feeling. I think, like I said, the hype for this game, I don't know if I'll ever work on a game this hyped again, honestly. Like everyone's praises for it. Yeah, I don't know if it's ever going to be matched. So I think there is a slightly different feeling to it.
That's an interesting thing about the hype, and I know obviously we're sticking with this question for a little longer than the previous one, but you've opened up quite a few avenues. Obviously, it's a new IP for video games, but obviously it is based in the same world as the tabletop RPG Cyberpunk. Yes. So, do you feel like that has played into the hype, or do you feel like it's more that this is CD Projekt's next big project after The Witcher 3, which is obviously, that was met with such critical acclaim?
Yeah. I think it's a mixture of like all those elements, right? Like I'm not the biggest tabletop player, but I do enjoy playing Dungeons and Dragons and many others like that. But like Cyberpunk, especially when it first released, was a very loved tabletop game, extremely loved. But it didn't, I guess, have to say as much longevity versus, say, the Dungeons and Dragons series, which is most people's starter and some people's just bread and butter that they'll always stick with. But like, there's so much love for that tabletop game, and Mike Pondsmith, just as a creative mind, is a lovely man. I've forgotten his teammate as well, because they also released Cyberpunk Red. If you are looking for a new tabletop game, do go check that one out. It's very good. But like the team behind that, they were in like Mike's wife and son, who again, lovely people. I got a pleasure to meet them all. Were just great. So I think they played into it. I think when you hear Mike talk as well, like he not only does he have a phenomenal voice that I am just envious of, but like you can tell that there's a lot of passion for this culture and genre, and he left his mark on the cyberpunk genre. Like he didn't need this game to be remembered as one of the all-time contributors, creators, like I said, of this genre. So to have it, I think, plays into it. Now the next thing is obviously CD Projekt Red because of Witcher 3. So I didn't work on Witcher 3. I want to obviously make that avidly clear. I was working on Division during that time. But like Witcher 3, I think, exploded. Witcher 1 and 2 did very well, but like Witcher 3 is when it finally put CD Projekt Red on the map. So I do think there's a lot of hype, and let's not forget when the Netflix show came out too, that like again solidified Witcher, which CD Projekt did not create. That was done by an author, but again, it helped to solidify that as another series that is pop culture related. That me and Henry Cavill look very similar. I get mistaken for him all the time. It's the dimple, but like it's one of those ones which again I believe there's hype behind that. I also think Cyberpunk's genre is just one that's people have been like always attached to. That it may not be mainstream as sci-fi or fantasy, but it's one that people will always come back to because sadly, in many regards, we see a lot of it predicted in how we're living. Like we chatted briefly, but like in COVID times, many of us have seen sadly corporation and rich people get away with not necessarily murder, but with insane amount of like questionable activities, shall we say. Now we don't want to talk about that too much, but again, it's like I think that's what attracts people to it. So there's many factors, mate, I think that come in, and many that I don't even know or understand or as to why. But I think all of it has mixed in, but not only that, like it's mixed in at the right time. I think Keanu being one of the most loved celebrities on the internet helped to again propel that, helped to sell that. I think when you look at the marketing, like the launch trailer just dropped yesterday, but like we've all said this as devs working on it. Look at all 3 to 4 of those trailers, right? None of them have the same tone. The last one before the launch was very kind of more tongue-in-cheek, had a bit more fun to it. And I think that's one of the most exciting things, is all of that element is in the game too. And that's what we wanted to give you, is that, like life, there's ups and downs, there's highs and lows. So I really think that, like, again, that's built for what it is. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I think contributed. I like to think myself too, Dan. Somehow people like Max Pears, he's the one.
He's the guy. Yeah, just the guy.
Definitely didn't happen. But
no, that's good. That's quite insightful for us. Good to hear. So almost going to the other end of the spectrum here with this next question. So obviously we touched there on how hyped Cyberpunk is, and the praise that it's already started to receive in the early reviews. But on a negative side, how do you respond to negativity, or even in a worst case scenario, things like death threats?
Yeah, so this is a sad thing of the internet, I want to say, like, because it's not just me or my team that have received that. There are many other teams, many other people who have, just been met with negativity sometimes for no reason. Like, when I say that relating to us on Cyberpunk, obviously, there has obviously, some people, not everyone's going to like this game, just with anything, with any media, right? We hope you all love it, but some people may not, and that's just how the cookie crumbles. But as long as you come away with something, we hope that, like I said, you'd get some sort of enjoyment. Do you know what, Dan? And like, this is a global thing. Is like there isn't a way to actually deal with this. If you do get death threats, please do report it to the police. Do treat this seriously. I want to make it that you shouldn't just ignore. If someone does threaten you or the ones you love, go to the police. They are now trained to help find information and hopefully put a stop to it. So do not think that you can't talk about that with someone. Please do handle that with care. I think it's just a shame that the only scenario for most people, bar death threats, as we just said, is you just have to ignore it. Like, there isn't much you can do. If using the term feed the trolls, then it only kind of adds more stuff to it and all this stuff. So I wish I had a solution. I really do, because I really hope no one gets, what some of my team got, some of the stuff, messages I received too. But don't be afraid to turn your messages off or certain things private. Like, you don't need to receive it from everyone. But I think the one thing to try and remember is, like, the ones who shout doesn't, it's only a few, but they are not the voice of the many. And that's something you got to remember. I have also received many kind words from strangers who are excited about this game and who really look forward to it. And that, to me, is the most amazing thing. But in terms of dealing with negativity, I wish there was a solution I could share with everyone. But sadly, there isn't. Don't be afraid to block. Don't be afraid to just get them out of there. But also, just just try stay away from social media sometimes, because it's not good for your health. A podcast me and you, Dan, always listen to is Joe Rogan, and obviously this guy is huge, and he constantly talks about, like, he doesn't read the comments anymore, he doesn't listen to anyone anymore, because it can just lead to a negative spiral. Obviously, open yourself to criticism. Like, the reviews are obviously a different story, but if people are just telling you to die and just telling you to F off. One of my favorite messages, Dan, I ever got was someone was just telling me, "Oh, you're shit, fuck you," and it was like 12 lines of "fuck you," and then just being like, "The level design is shit, so I've been told. I had friends who saw the demo," and then like continue. So people like that, I don't know what to say about them, but try not to take it to heart.
Yeah, there's no way to build from things like that, and exactly. I think this is one of the keys, isn't it? Is that sometimes there is just negativity for negativity's sake. Some negative comments are warranted, but there'll be the ones that will have some kind of constructive solution, or some kind of way to build and develop and find a positive. Things like the death threats or things like that message you were just talking about, it's just toxic, and people feel comfortable and safe to spew that out, behind the anonymity that the internet gives them. And it's a shame, because, as you just said, it very much is the minority. And it's very easy, as someone on the receiving end, to, even though what you're doing brings immense joy to so many people, it's very easy to ignore the positive comments whenever you get one particularly negative one. And that's why it's very important to be able to take that step back and have that mental filter, or even a physical filter if you are able to, block a chat or just walk away from it. And almost just remind yourself that no, this is a tiny sliver of what the output has given the world. So
I think one tip I'd give to people is don't look at your phone first thing in the morning. Just because, like, for me, for example, being in Central Europe, it's obviously got a big response in America, like in terms of the fans. It's got a response everywhere, but like, just say that different time zones, you'll have different people responding, right? Is the point I'm making. And like, wake up, don't look at the phone, because you don't want whatever someone has said to dictate your mood of the day. Right? Like, just wake up, see the world, stretch, grab a glass of water, go for a walk, do your workout, whatever it is. Then at some point, look at your phone. But like I said, these notifications, they should not dictate your view on the day. So yeah, we hope
that's a really good tip.
Yeah,
that's a very good tip.
So we hope we help this. With the reason me and Dan picked these questions as well is to, one, obviously show the people behind the work, but it's also to, like, someone right now could be going through the same thing as what we just talked about, and we just want them to know that, like, it's okay, you're not alone. And like I said, so we can't think of solutions. Like, it's not just us. The best most people say is like, oh, just ignore it. Like, and it sucks. It does suck. That is the only solution right now. But again, you are not what that comment makes of you. So yeah,
absolutely. So piggybacking off of the feedback side to that question, albeit more in a professional or critical manner, when it comes to reviews, how do you personally feel about them?
Do you know what this is? So firstly, I'm just blown away by the overwhelming response of the positives for Night City. Like, that was, for most devs, chasing the 90+ game, just because it isn't you're chasing necessarily the approval of people. When I say that, it's the impact of your art that you want to leave, right? That's why you're excited about this, because that is something that hopefully people will resonate with and people will enjoy for a long period of time. So that's what you're chasing after, should we say. So reviews are really interesting. I spoke with Dan off air. I spoke with, in an upcoming episode, a musician named Kevin Penkin. If you don't know who he is, he's a phenomenal lad. But he did the music on an anime show called Made in Abyss, Tower of God, and also the mobile game Florence. And one of the things we talked about is not getting lost in the value of someone's opinion of your work. And that's really hard, especially when you have, industries with critics and journalists. And when I say that, that isn't to detract from them. What I'm saying that is, like, similar with looking at the phone to dictate your mood. Don't look at someone else's validation to, dictate your feeling on your work. All right. So that's something just for yourself as a creator, as someone who makes things for people to explore and enjoy. Just keep that in mind. Like, I really want that to go through. But overall, I think it's nice to see. I think as a creator on anything, Dan, as you're more aware of the problems than even the journalists who might point them out, the players who may see them. You're aware of them, but obviously time constraints, deadlines will sometimes stop you. Like, you wish you had more time, but if that was the case with art, no one would ever finish anything. That's just where it would go. Yeah. So, I just want to personally appreciate it. We've got some that aren't 10s or 9s, but still, just thank you to them for playing and giving their opinion, because when they show us the flaws, hopefully, it allows us to learn and grow for the next projects we work on. So yeah, very PCM.
That's an important thing, is learning from the negatives, and being able to look at how to improve next time. For sure. And I think that, the idea of your own personal opinion of the project, gets overshadowed by critical reviews. As long as you are happy with the work that you've done and you're aware that, okay, it might not be perfect. There might be issues and you're aware of them, but down to time constraints or budget constraints or technical constraints in some respects, you couldn't necessarily remedy those. As long as you're content, you shouldn't allow, a review, because ultimately that's someone else's opinion, someone else's viewpoint, which will be informed by, years of different experience or different comparison. As long as you're happy, that should be your takeaway. As long as you're proud of what you've produced, I think that's important.
I think the other thing, mate, is like we as creators, we never really celebrate our work because like you instantly know that someone's going to review this, right? Like when we released the book, I was nervous because there's going to be people that reviewed that straight off the bat, and it didn't give us time to really take in, because like as soon as something releases, it gets reviewed. That is roughly the process. There isn't even like a week of when it comes out before you get to like settle back, go in and see it again and like think about it before the reviews come out. And obvious reasons, again, like we're not annoyed at journalists or reviewers or anything, and when we say that, I'm just saying is like that process doesn't allow you as a creator to
reflect.
To just reflect, enjoy without hearing outside thought. So I think really, whatever you release, do take a moment where you just unplug and celebrate. Like for me, I bought some very nice whiskey to just celebrate. And sadly, with it 2020, I'm not going to be able to see Dan face to face, which I normally do around about this time of the year. I'm not going to see my family this year. I am in the four walls. You can see my bed behind me. So this is where I am. So I just took a moment to just celebrate, it coming out, the hard work of obviously not just myself, but all these other people have sunk, many of their hours and also expertise into the project. And so really do that for yourself. If it's just 5 minutes, I was almost in tears when I saw all these reviews come out, honestly, because I said I've been on this project for almost 4 years. I moved to a different country. So there's all these experiences that happened during this project, that people will never see, will never talk about, but only myself, the other people there, and others had different experiences while they were there too, that I will never experience, that all lead up to this. So take the minute to just really just try celebrate yourself and your work if you can. We really want to push that.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose that's a perfect opportunity to segue into our fifth and final question then. So with regards to celebrating, what are you most proud of with Cyberpunk?
Man, that's such a good question. I say that because I wrote the question, guys. But
your own best critic.
God, why am I so good? But do you know, like even before I wrote that question, I was trying to think the answer. Do you know what? I think for me, the thing that I'm most proud of is we talk about the fluid class system with Cyberpunk. It's the amount of options you have as a player throughout all of our levels. And I'll talk about one that has been publicly seen and talked about, so I can actually talk about it. Is we have a small little quest where you meet a monk, and in this world of Cyberpunk, these monks refuse to get any kind of cyberware upgrades. They very much believe in blood and flesh, and sadly, they were captured by some gangs and were forced upon to have cyberware installed. And this, really contradicted with, could they continue being monks in part of this religion, or could, did it have to stop now that sadly their option had been taken away? But you must go rescue his brother to make sure the same doesn't happen to him. And this level, you can come out from like 3 different directions. This one's definitely more kind of sandboxy than maybe some of my other levels I have done, because each different mission requires you to design in a different way. But like the amount of options you have for just that one area, like one way you can come in, there's 3 variations you can get in, And when we played with the very first preview hands-on with journalists, it was great to see because we'd seen so much cool stuff from it. But then I realized, oh man, like if I just did X, Y, and Z in time before launch, it's going to be even better. And I was luckily able to address those elements. And because we had people that played, it was, very cool there. So I think the amount of options that we give to the player is something that I am proud of by, the overall design teams, my LD teammates, my artists, friends who created that, like quest designers too, everyone involved, because if I forget a section, someone's going to message me and tell me that they're mad at me. But like everyone did a phenomenal job. And they say it takes a village to raise a kid. It takes a lot of developers to make a game like this. So like I said, the freedom of choice that you're going to see here and the consequences of your actions will be memorable for players, and you'll see a lot of reviewers hit on that. But I think it's that, and just another thing from my overall experience, like the amount that I've got to travel, not necessarily just with Cyberpunk, like I've gone to, like I say, to represent the company at different places, but through doing talks to schools as well as conferences, like being able to see the world and meet different people from different parts of the world has been like an experience that I will never forget. And like level design has brought to me, and you learn so much from talking to different people from different parts of the world with different views. And like I feel like all of that makes a better designer and a better creator. So I think to me that has, as a personal growth experience, I can't speak Polish, sadly, przepraszam, but just know that all of this has been something that I'm very, very proud of. Ups and downs with everything in life, but like it's been something that I'm very glad I've been fortunate to be part of this team.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really that's a very, very good answer.
Thank you. Like I said, I was struggling, but I knew all along. I was like, surprise!
It's all part of the plan.
But Dan, I think while we're staying on the positives, is there anything you want to say to our lovely folks? Because is that the last question? That is the last question,
right? That is the last question. That's all we had.
Brilliant. Is there anything you want to say to the folks before we wrap up as our last Q&A
I think
of the
for
year?
me, it's obviously it's just going to hammer home what you already said at the front, which is just I'm immensely grateful for everyone's continued support. The fact that it's enabled me to not just meet up with a good friend on a regular basis, but also be part of this creative process and discuss and explore, and even learn. I've learned a lot from the videos I've been editing with you, and obviously been able to have these conversations with you. And obviously, as much as I'd love to say we would be doing this anyway, I feel like the 4 years you've been in a different part of the world, unfortunately we hadn't, and so this has enabled us to reconnect. And it is down to these guys, the Patreon backers, the guys that tune in on YouTube, so thank you very much. It's definitely been a bright light in what has been quite a dark year.
No, man, that's great. So again, just thank you all for it. We really hope that you have a great Christmas, a great time with the people that you love. If you can, be safe. We hope all of your loved ones are safe as well. And we just appreciate you and hope that we have distracted you enough from, these bizarre times, everyone. So if you do want to reach out and contact myself, you can do so on Twitter at Max Pears. What about you, Daniel?
Twitter also at Doward24.
Brilliant. And if you want to email into the show with anything, any comments, any kind words, or just to tell me that I look stupid with a cap on, you can do that on leveldesignlobby@gmail.com. So thank you all very much, everyone. We'll catch you all next time. Take care and a happy new year.
See you all in 2021.